Hey, we're back. We made it to the first week of December 2020. What a year, but we're here. Let's see what we've got. This week and this month, really, we're going to focus on the immune system. I mean, it's something that we need to pay attention to in uh, the year of a pandemic and in the winter where cold and flu season abound, right? The immune system is our very first defense against these bacteria, these viruses, particularly the COVID-19 virus. In December 2020, um, the beginning of December 2020, we didn't yet have a COVID-19 vaccine in circulation. And so, masking, social distancing, and keeping our immune system healthy were really our only weapons against this virus. Um, Fast forward a few weeks, and to the time when I'm recording this, it's at the end of December, and it turns out that we've got a COVID-19 vaccine. We've got a couple approved, and people have already started getting their first doses with really good responses so far. Um, and so that's really great. But vaccine or not, it's incredibly important to keep our immune systems healthy as much as possible, to keep them working as much as possible at 100% of their potential. And so that's one of the things that we'll focus on in December. That's our first week. Now, I mentioned how important it is to focus on your full potential, right? Um, get your immune system working at its full potential. Let me get your screen looking right here. Um, but you know what? When we talk about your immune system working at its full potential, potential is the key word. What do I mean by that? So, not everybody has the exact same potential or ceiling at which their immune system can function. Think about it like school. Okay, so in school, there were kids who were really good at math. Everybody knew that kid who was going to get an A plus on every single test. It didn't seem to matter what the subject was, right? And then there was that kid who got, D's and F's on every single test, and it didn't seem to matter what topic in math you were covering. And the A plus kid might have been working at their potential, right? They had the potential to get A's and A pluses, and they were able to unlock that potential, do the best that they possibly could. The kid who gets D's and F's isn't necessarily working at their potential, right? A lot of teachers might assume that the kid is only capable of getting D's and F's, but guess what? Maybe this kid can actually get C's. Maybe this kid can get B's. Maybe this kid can get A's and A pluses, just like that star math student, if only this kid is able to unlock their potential, right? There may be things happening at home that keep them from studying math. There may be things happening in the classroom that keep them from focusing, right? There may be emotional or psychological challenges that this kid has. There's so many reasons why this child may not be able to work at the height of their potential. And so what you get is, if their potential is actually like a B, that's sort of the best that they could possibly do in math at any given time. Their potential is a B, but they're working at a D or an F. I mean, what is that? Is that like 60% or 40% of their potential, right? Even if their potential isn't an A, their best possible outcome for this kid is not an A. But you'd rather they work at 100% of their potential, get the most they possibly can out of this math brain. You'd rather that than work at 40% or 60%. So think of your immune system similarly. Each person has a different level of potential at which their immune system can work, right? So not everyone has an A plus immune system. Not everyone has an A immune system. There are a bunch of different factors that affect who's going to have the A plus immune systems and who's going to have the B or the C grade immune systems. And we'll talk about those in a second because that's one of the things we went over in our daily texts. But it's really important for you to know that even if your potential is an A or an A plus, there are things you can do. There are mutable characteristics that can actually worsen the function of your immune system. So you might have an A or an A plus, but if you do some of these things that we'll talk about in a second, you might function at a C or a D. You might never see your potential. You may not unlock the potential of your immune system to protect you from COVID-19, from the flu, from other colds, which are viruses, or from bacteria. And nobody wants that. What's the phrase? A mind is a terrible thing to waste. So is an immune system. An immune system right now in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic is a horrible thing to waste. Let's not waste it. So we'll dive into this topic here. And I'm still, you know what, guys? I'm just like the auntie who can't quite figure it out here. I'm going to give you full screen mode. And that didn't really make a difference either. So I'm going to give it a couple seconds and maybe we'll do this. Perfect. That's what we're going to do. All right. Now you can see the full screen. Now we got it. So, can you boost your immune system? There are all these ads about immune boosting products. And what they're getting at is this idea that you can push your immune system, you can take nutrients, you can take supplements, vitamins, etc., these things that people are selling you, or these, sometimes these foods that you've overlooked, you can take them and you can like push your immune system through the roof. And that is directly contradictory. It's contrary to the notion that we have of each person's immune system having its own potential, its own highest high, right? We just spent all this time talking about the A plus and A immune system versus the C immune system and how there are inherent differences between the two, and there's something you can do to reach your full potential, but there's nothing you can do to make your potential higher. And so these supplements, these vitamins that you see ads for, talking about how you can boost your immune system, you can supercharge your immune system, that will only work if they work, right? We don't know if they do, that they all do. Vitamins and supplements are notoriously not vetted by the FDA here in the US, so be careful as you buy them. But if they work, they will only work to boost you up to 100% of your potential. If this is your ceiling, this is your highest potential, if you're a C immune system, that's the highest you can ever get. Well, if you're functioning at a D or an F, maybe doing, healthy eating and exercising and getting enough rest, that can boost you to your C potential. It's not going to boost you from C to B. It's not going to boost you from B to A. You won't become an A plus immune system. You won't develop an A plus immune system if, in fact, what you have is an immune system with the potential for C. But look, working at a C is better than working at a D. It's better than working at an F, again, in the midst of a COVID-19 pandemic, right? This viral pandemic that is killing hundreds of thousands of people in this country alone, in the US, and millions of people worldwide, moving from an F to a C functioning immune system is actually a really big deal. It's a matter of life and death. So let's get ourselves as high as we possibly can. We looked at some factors that could lower our immune system's potential. Now, some of these are immutable. They are things that you don't have control over. Genetic immune deficiencies. You don't have control over what mutations you were born with, whether you're missing certain components of antibodies that keep your immune system from being able to target, to use their sort of high-tech weapons or high-tech missiles, which antibodies are. You don't have any control over that. But you should talk with your doctor if you've been diagnosed with that, with a heritable immunodeficiency. Then there are the extremes of age. So we know that infants and older adults, right around, say, the age of 60, 65 or higher, begin to have less effective immune responses, right? So kids, young children, simply don't have a fully developed immune system and haven't been exposed to enough substances in the world to begin to develop this sense of self versus other and have a really robust response. So that's why kids don't have really strong immune systems, and it's so important to get your kids these vaccines really early in life. Adults at 65 or older begin to have a purposeful decline in their immune system. The body actually begins to tamp down your immune activity to prevent autoimmunity, to prevent the sorts of harm that is caused by these increased levels of inflammation in your body. Inflammation is mediated by your immune system. And so it's called immunosenescence, like senility of the immune system, a sort of natural tamping down of the immune system that happens with age. So there's kind of nothing you can do about hitting that 60s age range where your immune system naturally becomes less robust. Nothing you can do about that. If you had an A+ immune system at 45, by the time you hit 70, you probably don't have an A+ immune system anymore, right? Your potential has probably diminished, at least somewhat. Things that you can control that affect your potential would be smoking, having chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, like high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke. These are all preventable, lifestyle-related chronic diseases. So your risk of developing these diseases can be lowered if you do things like get regular exercise and eat nutritious, low-sugar meals, manage your stress and get rest. You have lower risk of developing these diseases. You can also better manage these diseases if you actually have them by doing those things. So ideally, never get type 2 diabetes. If you have prediabetes, work with your provider to make sure that you're minimizing your risk factors and the prediabetes never extends to full type 2 diabetes. And that's one way that you can make sure your immune system's potential is not downgraded. If you smoke cigarettes, work with your provider, your healthcare provider, to stop. If you quit smoking, that improves the potential of your immune system. Yes, smoking is bad for us in so many different ways. Now, cancer is something that, we typically think of as not having much control over. Cancer causes immunocompromise or immunosuppression, even before you start doing treatments for cancer. Your immune system is just not as robust. It's not as prepared to fight invaders like bacteria and viruses as when you were cancer free. But, even though we think of cancer as one of those variables that you just don't have much control over, the reality is that increasingly we recognize at least 13 or more cancers that can be prevented to a certain degree, right? They're associated with obesity. And so as the CDC calls out these 13 obesity related or weight related cancers, the next logical thought is, well, maybe managing obesity, right? Keeping ourselves from gaining so much extra fat that we qualify as obese might be a way to lower our risk of developing these cancers. Some of these cancers are multiple myeloma, a number of the hormone sensitive cancers for women. So we're talking breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer. We're also looking at things like gastric cancer. We're looking at colon cancer. These are all associated with weight, believe it or not, with excess weight. So minimizing your weight gain, right? Maintaining a healthy weight, and thus minimizing your risk for these 13 weight-related cancers is one way that you can try to maintain your immune system at its highest potential, right? Okay, now we talked about the things. Oh, and then there are also certain medications, by the way, that can affect the potential for your immune system to act. So there are a bunch of different immunosuppressant types of medications, which you might be taking for allergies, for asthma, long term, for cancer treatments. One of the really common pills that can suppress the immune system that people take is steroids like prednisone or dexamethasone. Medrol dose pack is one of the common names, and so those suppress your immune system, and that's really important for care of certain diseases. But what it means is that you're not as prepared to fight bacteria or viruses when you are exposed to them and when they invade your body. So, important to talk with your providers if you're taking these medications, especially long term. Important to talk to your providers about what additional precautions you might need to take to avoid infection with a virus or with bacteria. All right, so we talked about what sort of factors can affect your immune system's potential. That's like the ceiling, right? The highest you can possibly go. Can you get to an A or an A plus with your immune system, or do you have a C immune system? Those factors we talked about can maybe toggle you between an A or an A plus versus a C. Some of those you can change, others you can't. But now let's talk about how do you make sure that you are working at 100% of your potential, whatever that potential is. So if you have C potential, right, and you're getting, D and F grades for your immune system, the question is, how do you push yourself up to that C to try to get as much protection as you can at a time when even just a little bit more protection, like 20% more protection, could be a matter of life and death, right? Well, these are all activities that you can undertake yourself, which is really great. So it turns out that self-care, these daily activities that we take for granted, eating a nutritious diet with a variety of colorful vegetables and fruits that give you valuable phytochemicals to support the immune system. That's really important. Second way to support your immune system with self-care is to exercise regularly. We talk about this, but around 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise, that can be like a brisk walk around the block, right? So 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, if you were just to do a 30-minute brisk walk around the block, that counts as moderate exercise. And if you were to do that on a regular basis, not, crazy exhausting exercise once a week or once a month, but just slow and steady, regular exercise that your body can become accustomed to, that actually boosts the potential of your immune system. We'll get into that a little bit later, exactly how all this happens. But you need to know that regular exercise is a really important part of having a healthy immune system. Next, we've got rest. So getting enough sleep, around 8 to 10 hours every night. Everyone's body is different, but when you wake up and you're well rested. And being able to manage your stress, which is a component of rest we don't think about as regularly, right? How well are you resting if your, stress hormones are through the roof, if you're uptight? How well are you even able to sleep, right? When we're at the height of anxiety, when we're all pent up. So rest, both sleep and stress management, ends up being really important as well. Those are the 3 prongs of boosting our immune system to its highest potential. And we'll talk about that in a second when we get to the lower the load course. So that's going to be the next video. I will see you guys shortly.